Ian Lesser, Distinguished Fellow and Director of the German Marshall Fund Brussels office. Thank you very much indeed for being with us. I mean, we've just been hearing in the last few minutes about the backdrop of peace talks in Ukraine, and yet that missile attack tonight in which 14 people have been killed, according to the Ukrainians, and 6 of them children. Where are we, do you think, on the search for peace that Donald Trump says he is so keen to see?
Well, I think at this point, a lot of people would like to see, and not least Ukrainians and probably many Russians would like to see at least a ceasefire, but we're very far from that, as you can see with these attacks today. And the failure to finally really implement what seemed to be, pardon me, agreed on, which was a ceasefire related to operations in the Black Sea, for example. The Trump administration felt that it had an agreement on that, and Russia backed away from it, essentially. I think we're very far from anything like that, and that has a lot of implications. Europe is talking about how to guarantee it, how to monitor a ceasefire, etc. We don't even know what the scale or what the mission would be. It's not a positive scene from this week, anyway, at the NATO summit.
And all along, all through this, the key question has been, is Vladimir Putin potentially serious about some sort of ceasefire agreement, or is he just playing a game here, stringing the Americans and the Europeans along?
Well, as near as we can judge, I think Russia, for reasons of its own, obviously has a lot of equities in this that go beyond just territory in Ukraine. I think in some ways, the question of who gets what on the ground is a simpler, difficult enough, but simpler question than the bigger issues that apparently seem to matter a lot to Moscow. What is NATO's future in the region? Can Ukraine be a member of NATO eventually, or indeed of the European Union? There are bigger issues there that are going to be very, very difficult to negotiate. So it's possible perhaps to get to a ceasefire to stop the fighting, but the actual parameters of a settlement, I think, are very, very elusive.
You mentioned NATO, and as I said, in Brussels, we've heard from the head of NATO, Mark Rutte, saying the US has reaffirmed its commitment to the alliance today. But is it a bit shaky, that commitment to NATO, do you think, from the Americans now?
I think it will be reassuring to hear this from Marco Rubio, obviously. I mean, at the Foreign Ministerial today, he said something that I think many Europeans would have liked to hear on the campaign trail from President Trump, for example. The United States is really committed to the alliance. It's not about to withdraw from its integrated military command. I mean, that will be reassuring to a point. The problem, of course, is that there are now very strong demands on Europe to spend more and do more. Those are not new. I mean, even the Biden administration brought that argument, and its predecessors did as well. But now Europe obviously is needing to get very serious. I think there are a lot of things going on in the background that go beyond just what can be discussed at a NATO ministerial. We have, at the moment, a very, very vigorous problem over tariffs across the Atlantic and globally. So there's a backdrop to this, which is making transatlantic relations even more complicated. And it does inevitably affect the question of European confidence in the United States about the relationship as a whole and not just security.
OK, Ian, thank you very much. Good to talk to you. Ian Lesser there from the German Marshall Fund Brussels office. Thank you for your time.